Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to 14 Masoomen As education. Today our topic is the ninth Infallible, the seventh Imam. The Holy Imam Musa al-Kazim is the seventh apostolic Imam. His epithet was Al-Hasan and his famous title was al-Kazim. His matchless devotion and worship of God has also earned him the title of Al-Abu Saleh, meaning virtuous slave of God. Generosity was synonymous with his name, and no beggar ever returned from his store empty-handed. Even after his death, he continued to be obliging and was generous to his devotees who came to his holy tomb with prayers and behests which were invariably granted by God. Thus, one of this additional title is also Babul Hawaij, means the door to fulfilling needs. Childhood. Imam Musa al-Kazim passed 20 years of his sacred life under the gracious patronage of his holy father. His inherent genius and gifted virtues combined with the enlightened guidance and education from the holy Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi showed in the manifestation of his future personality. He was fully versed with the divine knowledge even in his childhood. Al-Allamah al-Majlisi relates that once Abu Hanifa happened to call upon the holy abode of Imam Ja'far alayhi salam to ask him about some religious matters, means masail. The Imam was asleep, and so he kept waiting outside till the Imam's awakening. Meanwhile, Imam Musa al-Kazim, who was then 5 years old, came out of his house, Abu Hanifa, after offering him his best compliments, inquired, "O the son of Holy Prophet, what is your opinion about the needs of man? Does he do them by himself, or does God make him do them?" "O Abu Hanifa," the 5 years old Imam replied at once, in the typical tone of his ancestors, "The doings of a man are confined to 3 possibilities. First, that God alone does them while the man is quite helpless. Second, that both God and the man do equally share the commitment. Third, that man does them alone." Now, if the first assumption is true, it obviously proves the unjustness of God, who punishes his creatures for sins which they have not committed. And if the second condition will acceptable, even then God becomes unjust if he punishes the man for the crimes in which he is equally a partner. But the undesirability of both these conditions is evident in the case of God. Thus, we are naturally left with a third alternative to the problem that men are absolutely responsible for their own doings. Imamat. The holy Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq breathed his last on 25th Shawwal 148 AH, and with effect from the same date, Imam Musa al-Kazim succeeded the holy office of Imamat as the 7th Imam. The period of his Imamat continued for 35 years. In the first decade of his Imamat, Imam Musa al-Kazim could afford a peaceful execution for the responsibilities of his sacred office and carried on the propagation of the teachings of the Holy Prophet. But soon after, he fell a victim to the ruling kings, and a greater part of his life passed in prison. Political conditions. Imam Musa al-Kazim lived under the most crucial times in the regimes of the despotic Abbasid kings, who were marked for their tyrannical and cruel administration. He witnessed the reigns of al-Mansur al-Dawaniki, al-Mahdi and Harun al-Rashid. Al-Mansur and Harun al-Rashid were the despotic kings who put a multitude of innocent descendants of the Holy Prophet to the sword. Thousands of these martyrs were buried alive inside walls or put into horrible dark prisons during their lifetime. These depraved caliphs knew no pity or justice, and they killed and tortured for the pleasure they derived from human sufferings. Moral and ethical excellence. As regards his morality and ethical excellence, Ibn al-Hajar al-Haythami remarks, the patience and forbearance of Imam Musa al-Kazim was such that he was given the title of al-Kazim, one who swallows down his anger. He was the embodiment of virtue and generosity. He devoted his nights to the prayers of God and his days to fasting. He always forgave those who did wrong to him. His kind and generous attitude towards the people was such that he used to patronize and help the poor and destitutes of Medina and provide for them cash, food, clothes, and other necessities of sustenance secretly. It continued to be a riddle for the receivers of gifts throughout the Imam's lifetime as to who their benefactor was, but the secret was not revealed until after his death. Literally, attainments. Time and circumstances did not permit the holy Imam Musa Kazim to establish institutions to impart religious knowledge to his followers as his father Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi and his grandfather Imam Muhammad al-Baqir had done. He was never allowed to address a congregation. He carried on his mission of preaching and guiding people quietly. Death. In 179 AH, Harun al-Rashid visited Medina. The fire of malice and jealousy against the Ahlul Bayt was kindled in his heart. When he saw the great influence and popularity which the Holy Imam enjoyed amongst the people there, he caught the Imam arrested while he was busy in prayer at the tomb of the Holy Prophet and kept him in prison in Baghdad for a period of about 4 years. On the 25th Rajab 183 AH, he got the Imam martyred by poison. Even his corpse was not spared humiliation and was taken out of the prison and left on the bridge of Baghdad. His devotees, however, managed to lay the holy body of the Imam to the rest in al-Kazim in Iraq.